Chaturmas. Hare Krishna. Let us begin with a short kirtan. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Thank you all. So, welcome again. Once again, today we are going to discuss important sloka from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15. It is none other than this sloka number 7. Yeah, let's go with the sloka. I will share the sloka for you. If anybody is ready to recite this sloka, you can recite after me. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shloka number 7 from 15th chapter. Mamaivamsho Jivaloke.
Mamaivamsho Jivaloke.
Jivabhuta Sanatanaha.
Jivabhutah Sanatanaha.
Manasastrani Indrani.
Manashashtanindrani.
Prakritistani Karshati.
Prakritistani Karshati.
Mamaivamsho Jivaloke.
Mamaivamsho Jivaloke.
Jivabhuta Sanatanaha.
Jivabhutah Sanatanaha.
Manashastrani Indriyani.
Manashashtanindrani.
Prakritistani Karshati.
Prakritistani Karshati.
Mamaivamsho Jivaloke. Jivabhuta Sanatanaha. Manasastani Indriyani. Prakritistani Karshati.
Mamaivamsho Jivaloke. Jivabhutah Sanatanaha. Manashashtanindrani. Prakritistani Karshati.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
So we shall go to the word meaning translation. The word meaning goes Mama, my, Eva, certainly, Amsha, fragmental particle, Jivaloke, in the world of conditional life, Jiva Bhuta, the conditional living entity, Sanatana, eternal, Mana, with the mind, Sastani, the six, Indriyani, senses, Prakriti, in material nature, Stani, situated, Karshati, is struggling hard. Translation by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. The living entity in this conditional world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditional life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. Hare Krishna. So, Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya चक्षुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपं कदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुक्तपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णापादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे गौर हरे कृष्ण। So we are coming to know in this sloka that we are all nothing but the eternal fragmental parts. That's what it says. Mama eva amsha. We are all certainly we are all the fragmental parts of Krishna. So we are not individual. If we think we are individual, then we are covered by the Maya Devi, Maya Shakti. So immediately when we think the individuality is within us, when we think of that we are individual, we want to act independently, the very second we are covered by the material nature. So that is because of our conditional life. We have a condition in this life that we want to live like this, we want to do like this, we want to do this, do that. So we are all conditioned. And why we are conditioned? Because we have these six senses, the five indriyas and the sixth, the mind. So when we act according to these five indriyas and the mind which takes over, which include the mind which takes over or the overall control of the five senses, then we become acting in individuality. And the moment we are thinking we are acting in individuality, we are away from the Krishna. So this is what we need to understand from this sloka. So I would like to share a small PPT. Yes, it's here. So here it goes. Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manasasastani Indriyani Prakritistani Karshati. So here it says Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. That means all living entities in this world are nothing but my eternal fragmental parts and parcel. So we are already, as Krishna says, we are eternal fragmental parts. Because of our separation from Krishna, we are caught in this material world. Material world means we are caught in this material world means our soul is eternal, right? Our soul is eternal. And when the soul is getting separated from Krishna, it also has to have a thing. So it has a covering. That covering is nothing but the stula sharira. So when this soul is having the individuality, it takes its individuality shape. The moment it's separated from Krishna, it takes its individuality shape. That is, we have got this body, this the five senses, the hands, legs, eyes, ears, nose, everything, and then we have the mind. So when we are separated, that's where we are this eternal fragmental parts. So we should, and how we are struggling. We are struggling very hard with these five senses. We want to get liberation, but we are not able to get liberated. Why? Because we have the attachment. We have this attachment, worldly attachment. The moment this worldly attachment begins, it begins the womb. The moment the soul is in the womb of a mother, it gets the body. It
Hare
gets
Krishna Prabhu.
all the five
Bhupalaka
senses.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Can you click that slideshow button? It's
Yes.
not, your slide is not visible.
Not visible, Prabhuji.
Right side bottom.
Prabhuji.
Slideshow.
Just a bit, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Right side bottom, Prabhu. You can
Now,
see.
Prabhuji. Is it?
Yeah, your cursor.
One second. Is it okay now, Prabhuji?
Your cursor bring you to the right side down, Prabhu.
I got Prabhuji. Where I
Slideshow. If you keep the cursor on that, it will show the slideshow button. There only. Right. Yeah. Next one.
slideshow is here.
No, bottom. On your right hand side bottom.
Like yes, Prabhuji.
Click. Yeah. Now it is visible. Clear. Go on. Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. So at the stop, I was saying that when with this soul, when it gets separated from the eternal Krishna, it has to take its body, its shape. Where it takes in the womb of the mother itself. There only it from the shapes. It's got the outer covering. It has got its body, the senses, and the mind. When we then slowly, how the baby develops. Slowly, it causes it takes this worldly attachment. One by one, it starts learning, and it is not able to go back. It is not able to get back because it is getting more and more attached to this material world. So once it becomes so conditional, it becomes very hard for these mind and senses to think about Krishna. So how actually we can do this? Actually, that here it says that these are the fragmental parts. See, the center portion is called the mind. This mind is the, you can see this diagram over here. It is very nicely pictured. All these five senses are acting with the mind. So when the mind is taking control of any one of these senses, so we act accordingly. We are acting in the triguna. Our trigunas come into picture. The trigunas are what is that? Sattva, Rajo, and Tamo. These Sattva and Rajo and Tamo are already acting upon us with these five indriyas. When these five indriyas are in full zoom, that is when the eyes, the taste, the hearing, that means we are already charged. Okay, we want to enjoy this material world. We don't want to come out of this enjoyment. We want to live fullest. That is why some people go to the parties, they go to the malls, they see, visualize anything they want. They speak anything they want. They want to listen to any kind of music. So that they want to feel everything, they want to touch everything, they want to smell everything. So this kind of things is going on and on and on and on. There is no end. So why is that? Because we are conditioned to these material objects and things. So when we have to withdraw, see, it is already told, no, we should know how we can withdraw like a tortoise. So when we know our limit, so yes, we are not supposed to do this because we have been told in the Shastras, because we have been told in the scriptures that these areas we should not enter. What happens? We should be like a tortoise. Immediately we should retract. When we retract, and again, there is a tendency for us to again go release ourselves. When we retract, again, we have a tendency to release ourselves. So this fight is already going on. Why this fight is going on? Because we are conditioned. Because we are conditioned to the taste. We are conditioned to the sight. We are conditioned to the listening of the music. We are conditioned to this the feel we are getting. Oh, what a feel I got, my boy. Wonderful it was. That movie was so nice. Like that, we have a thing. So we are already caught. Already we are in Maya, and that we go into the theater and sit with all the senses with full what do you say? Full capturization of our senses and mind. Then what to do? Then we are fall a prey to these senses. So it is saying here, Krishna himself says, living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Please don't forget this word. Krishna says, my eternal fragmental parts. These very words are very, very wonderful words. We are eternal, we are eternal, we are fragmental. We are never different from Krishna. Though in quantity we may differ, but in qualitatively we are one and same as Krishna. So, but because of our conditioning, we are struggling hard. So let us move to the next slide. It's very nice slide. What is the solution? What is the solution to this? So the solution is very simple. The problem we have analyzed now, and how do we come to this solution? Solution says, if the mind is engaged in transcendental service of the Lord, there is no chance of being engaged in the lower propensities. It's a very wonderful thing to show that if your mind is always engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord, there is no chance of being engaged in lower propensities. Just for a moment, if I look back, if yesterday I would have not engaged in this transcendental service, that is, I got a chance to speak about the sloka number 15.7. If I had not taken taken my time and effort in going through the sloka or going through the subjects of this, my mind would have been wandering somewhere else. My mind would have been doing something else. I would have got caught in some other problem. So many things, no? But then, because we are engaging in this transcendental service, then there is no chance of being engaged in lower propensities. We need not think of any other thing in our life. So we have to engage ourselves. The engaging ourselves with Krishna actually brings back, it revives our eternal position. The soul's eternal position is revived when we do transcendental service. The transcendental services are very, very wonderful. Okay, so let us go to sloka again. My fragmental parts in this conditioned world. Mamai vamsho jivalo. Okay, that means my fragmental part. Mamai vamsho. Mamai amsho. Amsho means we are amsha. We are the amsha of Krishna. We are definitely the amsha of Krishna. We have all the qualities, but in minute quantity. We have to enhance. So suppose you have got a UPS, no, which you have around only 5% charge. What you have to do? You have to see that you can gain more power. Okay, you have to be thinking that I should not lose unnecessary power. That means you switch off some lights. Okay, you switch off some lights, that your charge gets built up. So that way we are already losing so many things because of we are seeing so many things, we are hearing so many things, we are talking so many things. Our battery is already going low, below par. Okay, when we have to recharge, we have to think what to do. We are not to expose ourselves to such things. So we are already the fragmental parts because of our exposure to this conditional life. We are not able to focus on Krishna. So Krishna is always eternal. So all living beings are eternal. We have to think about the eternal. When we think about the eternal, we get the charge. So how do we think? The Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, with the six senses, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, and the mind. So the six senses and the mind are always the drain holes. The six senses and the mind always the drain holes. Put a cap for that, and hold it, store the charge within. And by doing this, we are bound by ego and we are struggling hard. Putting a cap for this and being bound according to Krishna becomes difficult. We struggle hard. We want to expose ourselves somewhere or the other. We lose ourselves. So we become a prey of something other. We become a prey of our own eyes. We become a prey of our own ears. We become a prey of our own mouth. Unnecessarily we'll talk something and we land into trouble. Unnecessarily we'll see something and we want to do something. So unnecessarily we'll hear something and we want to hear more and more of unwanted things. So this we should understand here that we are bound by this ego, this false ego. What is the true ego? True ego is nothing but listening to the beautiful songs of Krishna, listening to the beautiful prayers of Kunti Maharani, listening to the wonderful subjects told by Srila Prabhupada. These actually gain our concentration, gain our mind, gain our strength. These things we can do nicely. By practicing all these things, definitely we are going to try to go with the eternal. Hare Krishna. So here, living beings of Krishna are part and parcel, but they choose to stay apart from Krishna. This is the greatest, what do you say, greatest downfall. We are part and parcel of Krishna, but we choose to stay apart from Krishna. That is the cause of our suffering. Who is the cause? Not our neighbor, not our enemy, not our other next house person. Is not the cause of suffering. We are ourselves the cause of our suffering. Why? Because we are trying to think apart from Krishna. We are trying to think differently from Krishna. We want to show our individuality. We want to show our presence to everybody, but we are forgetting Krishna. When we forget Krishna, then automatically we are covered by the clutches of the Maya, material energy, and then we land up into suffering. So, what are these doing? Material ambitions. Material ambitions keep us away from spiritual consciousness. That's all. Material ambitions just keep us away. See, if you think you are going to build a house for the next 1.5 to 3 years, you are going to keep away from Krishna. Means not fully away. Somehow, whatever the extra time is there, you are not giving for Krishna. You are trying to build your house. You're going to get this. You're going to that. It takes a lot of effort and everything. But material ambitions definitely keep us away from Krishna. But it's not that we cannot do material things. So it is always to have a balanced thing. Okay, to keep ourselves, do at least our minimum qualities which we can keep ourselves with Krishna. So we should try to balance, but it's really become very possible in material world, because this material world is so conditioned. If you go one step this side, it takes us 3 steps further again. And to get back, we have to cover 4 steps back again. Again, by covering 2 steps, again we will go 4 steps further. So this is what is happening. So we are trying to balance this material thing and come back to the eternal thing platform. But it's going day by day. We are going far and far. So what we should do, as I told you earlier, we should cap all our senses. We should cap all our senses. When we cap our senses, then to some extent we can, at least we can not think at that moment. Suppose in a 5-minute gap, if you cap for around 3 minutes, at least you have saved 3 minutes. The 2 minutes you have seen, which will cause an impact, but it will not be as good as the 5 minutes which you have seen visualizing. And the same way hearing. So if we cap ourselves, we definitely can come out of these things. So the moment we see that, more we see in Krishna unnecessary, the more the worldly unnecessities seem necessary. What is it? The moment Krishna seems unnecessary, if we forget Krishna, then immediately the other things become visible to us. So this is the law of nature. We cannot escape from this law. So we should try to be always in Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yeah, next. So wonderfully here our Radhanath Maharaj has explained. Maya arranges material world in a way to keep us away from Krishna. Maya arranges material world in a way to keep us away from Krishna. So how this can be overcome? So all happiness in material world has a beginning and an end, but happiness in Krishna is unlimited and there is no end. If we have this, at least this slogan in our mind, all these material has a beginning and an end, but happiness in Krishna is unlimited and there is no end. So when we are eternal, when we know it is eternal, why don't we choose the eternal path? So we have to be taking this path. Okay. So when this can happen? Krishna says, call me with true devotion. I am there with you always. Call me with true devotion. I am there with you always. So this we can actually take shelter of a guru and we can think. So a little bit more I want to share is once that King Puranjana. King Puranjana, at the time of his death also, he was thinking about his wife. because of this polluted consciousness, the Lord explains, the living entities in the conditioned world are my eternal fragmental part, but due to conditional life, they are struggling hard with the six senses, which include the mind. The living entity is after all, the part and parcel of the Supreme Spirit. The living entity is, after all, the part and parcel of the Supreme Spirit. But in other words, Krishna's constitutional position and living entity, the constitution position is the same as qualitatively. So, but here we see that King Puranjana was thinking of a woman. So, such mental absorption with some sense object brings about living entities struggle for existence and this material world. So, always we are caught in this thing. Mostly, all of them are this man-woman relationship has to be understood very properly. That is why in the Shastras it says, keep the butter and the fire in a good distance. Okay, if the butter goes close to the fire, then it starts melting. So ultimately the same thing property is here with the man and the woman. So King Puranjana was also a great king, but because of a polluted consciousness, polluted consciousness, he had to fall down. So another thing is that so being associated with material energy, one tries to load it over the material nature. If you are associating with material energy, you are trying to load it over, we want to become the lord of everything. So this is also says in the same sloka, it says that we are struggling hard with these six senses. So if we struggle so hard to enjoy himself, he cannot even enjoy the material resources properly. We are thinking that by struggling so hard, we can enjoy the material resources, but it is not at all possible because it is not in our hands. So we should very clearly understand this. So all living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. But unfortunately, in this present civilization, both men and women are attracted to one another from the very beginning of their life because they are completely unable to come to the platform of self-realization. So, what is the self-realization? The self-realization is Purusha is only one but Krishna. We are all Prakriti. We are all in this world. Everything is Prakriti except Krishna. Krishna is the only Purusha. Purusha and Prakriti. So we are already being enjoyed. We cannot enjoy. We are always being enjoyed. So, but we think we are enjoying. We think we are enjoying. This is a false, false realization we are getting. The true realization is in serving the Supreme Lord Krishna. So, for this also, there is a very nice pathway which our Srila Prabhupada has set in. He has given the ashramas, okay, the brahmacharya ashrama, the grahastha ashrama, the vanaprastha ashrama, and sannyasi ashrama. So he's all given the ashramas. When we try to follow all these ashramas and we follow it with a good, nice perspective, then slowly we can get control of our senses and the mind. So these five senses and the mind are not within our control, but under the control of the Supreme, because it says that who is the master of our senses? Rishikesha. Rishikesha is none other than Krishna. Rishikesha, I mean, he is the controller of all the senses. So when we surrender to Krishna, automatically we don't have to do anything else. We have to just surrender. But this surrender is a very broad subject, okay? So we should slowly cap ourselves, and then we can actually come out of things. So with this, I take the leave. I thank you for patient hearing. If you have any reflections, you are welcome. Of course, if I have made any mistakes, please forgive me. I don't correct me. Hare Krishna. Pranam. Vancha kalpatarubhyscha kripa sindhu eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai. Namadas ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna.